Sup everybody. Now, okay, this might be good news to some, bad news to others. I'm not gonna say this is good news regardless of who you are, because resource, as we all know it, for most of you guys is a huge constraint, right? Where is my thing? Why is it a black screen? Does, like, come on. There we go, there we go. Okay, let's get chat on screen here. Welcome. Wednesday live stream. Friday's gonna be the 3.6 special program. My god, 3.6. By comparison to 3.5, 3.6 likely will be a completely different game, because what 3.6 has to offer, according to patterns, is new artifact set. There's a chance for a new boss, maybe, but it should be coming. We haven't gotten one in a while. Baiju, Kaveh, 2 new characters, right? Essentially, some people don't like to count the 4 stars because they're like, oh, they're usually so crap, you can't use them anyways until you get C6 or some crap like that. But we don't know, so we'll see how Kaveh, Baiju, how they kind of play into the whole Dendro stuff. And then we have to talk about the reruns, right? The reruns. Nahida seems to have been confirmed because they, like, how I know this is they released a the live stream poster. They released actually different versions of them. How sneaky HoYoverse, okay? I thought okay, maybe she's not coming, maybe she is coming, but they snuck one in right as when we least expected it. So it seems like Nahida will be making a return. So chat, let's talk about this, okay? Because I see a lot of you guys. Okay, first, before we continue, I don't want to come off as I'm trying to convert you guys, because a lot of you guys tend to like to think that when I give praise to a character, I'm telling you guys you have to pull it, or I'm somehow trying to sell this character to you guys. You wouldn't believe the amount of people in my videos who actually think that I work for HoYoverse. Because whenever I make a video talking good about a character, it's usually because there's certain merits to you investing in them. I'm actually a pretty cheap person when it comes to just investing into any character. I like to really put my money into the best of the best, and that's why for the vast majority of the time you'll see that I am not telling you to invest in this stuff. I'm actively telling you guys to wait, be more patient. So, but this is not one of those cases, right? So today we're going to be talking about Nahida. We'll more than likely make a video about it, because I think it kind of gets lost amongst all the characters that are constantly coming out, just exactly how cracked of a character Nahida is and the purpose of this character, right? This is more important than just doing big damage. It's when you're pulling for a character like Nahida, you have to fully understand, like, what is the purpose? What are you pulling for? Where's the substance in there? Is it like Raiden Shogun? Is it like Zhongli? Where's the juice? Okay? Is she confirmed first phase? I don't know exactly when she's confirmed. That's the thing, right? While I know she's coming, I don't know exactly when. I don't know the positioning. I'm just talking off of the basis of, like, the information that we get publicly. All right. So for those who think that I'm talking about leaks, I am not. Excuse me. I'm here setting up my side monitor. Okay. All right. So yeah, for those who you think that I'm going to be talking all about leaks, I am not. I'm talking about the information that we've gotten. This pretty much, going off of this, it is like, I don't want to say 100%. I think, wait a minute, I think it has been 100%. Those people who show up on the live stream banners, they're usually the host. So I don't know who's going to be the host. I'm pretty sure Baiju is. They might get a rerun character, like I don't know who's gonna rerun, but let me pull up the banner here. They made a couple. Oh right, the banner has Dory, Baiju, Nahida, and the MC. So there's a chance that we get these 4. There's a chance we get just 3 of them. We'll see. All right. So for those of you who want other 5 stars, we can look potentially toward some pretty good 5 stars. I've had people talking to me about rumored potential reruns of what was her name again? What was her name? The dancing girl. can't. Nilou, right? Nilou. If Nilou is coming out as well, you guys are in for a pretty bad time. Because it'll become extremely difficult to distinguish going forward who's going to be great and who's going to be valuable in what degree they're going to impact the game. The reason I say this is because even if we can right now pinpoint and say like, oh, you know, for sure Nilou, Nahida are going to stay in the meta, you don't know about that, right? Go back to patch 1.6. I love to use this as an example. How many people, even content creators, right? Even content creators at the time, Ziox, remember Zajeff at the time wasn't too big, but he was still working with Ziox. So nobody had the foresight how bad Venti was going to get. We all said, yeah, like the Abyss is going to change to favor Kazuha for a couple of patches, but then it's just going to go straight back to Venti. Like nobody thought Venti was going anywhere. Look how naive we were, right? Look how naive we were. And that's my point, is that I can tell you guys, oh, you know, Nilou is going to be good for a long time. But the reality is nobody knows how long Nilou is going to be good for. No one knows how long Nahida is going to be good for. But just working off of like past information, we can deduce that Hoyoverse would not like to repeat a Venti situation, right? So working off of that, okay, we can say maybe then Nahida is going to hold some more value for the meantime. Nilou still is somewhat of a DPS-centric character. I like to think she's more of an enabler because of her little gimmick, right? Her Super Bloom gimmick. So she's more, in my opinion, of an enabler, enabling your teams to gain access to a powerful playstyle, whereas she isn't necessarily just broken herself. But you see, the cool thing about Nilou is you can think of her as a support as well. You know why? Because as long as you exclusively play Hydro and Dendro characters on your team, Nilou can have insane value. And that's, you see, that's the thing that I'm torn about, right? When it comes to general utility and usefulness, Nahida definitely takes the cake. She can buff all reactions that are Dendro reactions, right? So she's pretty much the queen. And even beyond that, if you want to talk about niche uses, she can just be a pure EM buffer. Even then, she is insanely good. Whereas Nilou is restricted and forever stuck in a Dendro Hydro team, which by like on paper sounds pretty niche and bad, but if you look at how many insane Hydro Dendro characters, like Hydro and Dendro are the two best elements in the game right now, right? Some people would like to argue that, but in my opinion, some people would say no, Anemo is, you know, number one, but they are very, very close up there to the top. So having a team full of Hydro and Dendro characters is not by no means like a detriment to team building and whatnot. Okay? How are you liking Alhaitham? Theorycraft is saying he's the best C0 DPS now. Alhaitham is really good, right? Alhaitham carries your team pretty well, mostly because he's a Dendro character, right? Try making Alhaitham into a Geo character and we'll see. It's the fact that he's Dendro. And this is my point, is that Dendro characters are designed, and I've said this in the past, so I'm not gonna focus on this point. Dendro characters are designed for newer players, free-to-play players. Newer players can all benefit greatly from Dendro. In fact, the more money you've spent on this game, the less incentivized you are to invest into Dendro. Why is that? because Dendro is such a low-hanging fruit. For the most, like for the vast majority of them, you don't even need to get more constellations. And actually, a lot of them spike really hard at lower constellations. Like, sure, a C6 Alhaitham is strong, but a C0 Alhaitham is incredibly strong already, right? A C0 Alhaitham sometimes feels as strong as like a C1, C2 traditional carry. And it's not because they overtuned his kit, it's just because of how Dendro works. So it's cool. Like I think Dendro is a superb element. I think Hoyoverse is doing good. Like the approach they're taking for Dendro is superb. I love it. I love the fact that they kind of solved the issue of newer players having to, you know, fight against the contents a little bit, right? So think about it like this. Hoyoverse essentially solved the problem for when no matter what time period players get into the game, they'll always have a go-to element to immediately become relevant with the game state. That's essentially what they did, right? So the cool thing about that is now you no longer have to worry when you just get into Genshin Impact. Be like, oh, like will I be behind everybody? Oh, I'm gonna have to take forever to catch up with everybody. No, right now, give you like a month or two, at most a month or two, you'll be just as cracked, if not more cracked, than somebody who's been playing the game and investing into like some mono cryo or mono geo or some sort of weird hybrid team for like the last year and a half. You'll just pew, right? And it's very important that Hoyoverse does this, because or else the player base is gonna disconnect with each other, right? So Brett Vader asked the question: Alhaitham is just too much better than Tighnari? Question mark. No, he is not. Okay, the gap between Alhaitham and Tighnari is smaller than most people would imagine. If you just took a random Genshin Impact player and like set them down and be like, well, how different do you think Alhaitham and Tighnari is when they're at peak performance, right? Both of them. Most people would probably say like, oh, you know, Tighnari is just like a weak version of Alhaitham. Alhaitham's much better. When in fact, Tighnari and Alhaitham kind of sit in a similar state, whereas Alhaitham's value comes more from the fact he's a limited character and has slightly better design in his kit, in my opinion. I think he has better scaling as well, but if you look at Tighnari's kit, the dude has a taunt. He attacks from distance. He pretty much is able to do quick shotting. Like he shoots off his bows like shots very quickly. Combined with his taunt, he almost doesn't need a shielder. Ideally, as a bow character, we always do need to provide them with a shielder. But you can, like, my point is, you can play Tighnari easier than you can play Ganyu without a shielder, if that makes sense, right? So Tighnari is very free and his damage scales incredibly well. But I do say Tighnari likely needs Nahida more than what's his name? Alhaitham does. Yeah. Alhaitham can function like absolutely 110% fine without Nahida. Right, but Tighnari does feel like to get to that level, he does need Nahida's help. That extra 250 EM, can't live without it. Does seem to be like that. But you're more than welcome to say, Walrus, you're wrong. But that's how I felt. Like if you want to compare, like if these two characters had to compete with each other, that's like the difference maker, in my opinion. Dante J says, your thoughts on how Dendro versus Hydro Healer will be as a better pull, i.e. Baiju versus Kokomi. Okay, so I've said this since Yao Yao came out, so this is not me just kind of sliding a quick one in here. I think that Baiju is going to prove himself to be a very worthwhile character to invest into. And whilst the question was Baiju versus Kokomi, I want to have you guys think about it more as Baiju equals to Kokomi, but better. So I guess, in my opinion, I think Baiju is going to surpass Kokomi. In fact, I am a little worried that Baiju is even going to power creep Kokomi a little bit here. Not power creep, like, how should I put this? Not power creep, but like It's just like a overall better version of Kokomi, but for the modern Genshin meta. Kind of. The reason I say this is because Kokomi functions a lot. Like, the reason why Kokomi is even so discussed and sought after is because not only is she a great applicator for Hydro, she's an amazing healer, and if push comes to shove, you can use her as a driver. And looking at Yao Yao and now looking at Baizhu, it just seems like Baizhu can do everything that Kokomi already does, but for the Dendro element, which is currently absolutely broken, right? Dendro reactions are utterly disgustingly broken. It's just like, comparatively, it's not. This is not a discussion. It just is, right? The stats point towards they are broken in comparison to the other ones because they just work too well. But like I said earlier, that's a good thing. It's by design. It's to help newer players. Okay. Call me out through. Thank you for the donation. Says, are Archons future-proof? I'm glad you asked this question because that's actually the main topic of today's discussion. Is the fact that Nahida's rerun is already coming means that we are 4 patches into her original banner release, right? Marcus Bollocks says they better be, and I agree with you, Marcus. However, I don't think I need to be the one to constantly remind you guys what happened to one of our most beloved femboy Archons, right? Need I remind you guys again? Do you guys need this reminder? Have you forgotten? No one is safe if they are breaking the meta in a way that's unintended for Hoyoverse. Does that make sense? Let me rephrase that a little bit. If a character is not functioning as they should, or if a character enables a comp that is too good, that Hoyoverse has no other way of adjusting this character, well then, my friends, you guys are in for a hell of a story, because unfortunately that character more than likely is going to be gutted. It's going to be gutted like you've never seen before. However, thankfully, currently there's no such character. Do you guys remember? Like, I think I need to jot the memories of some of you guys and also give you guys a history lesson on Venti's iron grip over the Genshin meta space back when he was in his prime. Okay, allow me to. You guys see Nahida right now? And Raiden Shogun and Kazuha and frickin' Bennett. All of them are nowhere close to what Venti's usage rate was back in the day. Venti, I believe, had like a 96% usage rate for like since 1.0 all the way up until like his demise. So, and to give reference, right now the highest usage rate you'll ever see is like 80-something%. Right? It's like 80-something%, and Bennett was in, and for people who say, oh yeah, but back then you had like little choices, yeah, but Bennett wasn't even that high. Yeah, so it's like, sure, with more characters came more diversity and the usage rate kind of fluctuated more. But you have to understand, Venti had an iron grip over the meta to the point where like Hoyoverse likely has never seen something that absurd, right? In all of their games, even though they take a lot of pride in the fact that this game is like not PvP and all that stuff, you know. It's like but it got to the point where no matter what they did, all right, this is the funny part, is no matter what the hell they did, they could not stop people from using Venti. It's not like they didn't try putting like lava churls, meter churls into the Spiral Abyss. It's just nobody cared, right? No one cared. We're just going to keep using Venti. We're going to keep using Venti. And eventually it got to the point where Morgana during its peak was like, people developed, listen to this, people developed a team comp to like newer players struggling on the Wii Nut is gonna mold at this. But back in the day, I know we sound like boomers now, but back in our days, you can press 3 buttons per chamber pretty much, and you can 36 star the abyss. You truly could do it with your eyes closed, hands tied behind the back, gagged and playing with your toes, and you could have 36 starred the abyss if your toes could just find those 3 buttons. It was that disgustingly broken. The game was not in a healthy state, my friends. That team still exists today. But it's nowhere near as effective. And this is when the approach of, throwing bigger monsters into the abyss, right? Throwing boss monsters into abyss. That's when it happened. That's when the huge shift happened, right? So the reason I'm telling you guys all this is HoYoverse, it has been proven to absolutely hate, like detest, when they cannot control the meta state, when they lose grip on what's good, what's bad, like what's being played, and when stats just go off the shelf. To be honest with you, I wouldn't expect Nahida to stay at 80% usage for like the next year or so, right? Obviously, she's still gonna be good. I think she's gonna hover around 70% once the Hydro Archon comes out. 70, maybe. You could say even when the Hydro Archon comes out, she could be 80%, but I don't see her living into the Pyro region, right? And the reason I say this is because, like, look at Zhongli. It's a great example. Zhongli sits in a position right now where most people could say like, oh, I could live without Zhongli. Like I'll be fine without Zhongli. Zhongli is by no means a necessity to many people's account. And that is great. But at the same time, a lot of people prefers the comfort of owning a Zhongli, running a Zhongli on their team brings them a sense of comfort, right? I think that's fair to say. And it's this reliance on comfort, being like, oh, I just don't want to think. I just don't want to play the mechanics. Sure, like we can agree mechanics are cool. Wow, amazing, right? Like I can do X, Y, and Z with my character if I just master these skills. But what if I just don't want to? Like, what if I really don't want to? Well, then play Zhongli. Like, there's always that answer. Like, it's just like that's why Zhongli can't really end up in a position where Venti ended up. The reason being is that the game does not make Zhongli obsolete. It turned him more into like an option choice. It's like, when you are when you're at a fancy restaurant, they offer you sparkling or normal water. Like, do you want normal water or do you want sparkling? Right? It's an option. You're still gonna drink water. It's just like you're still gonna play the game. You're still gonna do good. You're gonna do fine. But it's just you get to do it, choosing whether you have a shielder like Zhongli or whether you want to go more damage oriented with Kazuha, with mono teams, these crazy buffers. But the problem with Venti is at certain points in the game, it just doesn't really work. Like the character kind of breaks down. And so to answer the question, are Archons going to become obsolete? Yes and no, because I know it's not the answer you guys want. I'm going to elaborate on this. All right, I know people hate it when people answer. I hate it when people say like that, but I can't responsibly just sit here and give you guys a definitive answer, because it's not a straight arrowed answer, because it really depends on how they impact the meta. If tomorrow Theory Crafters discovered a crazy ass comp with Zhongli in it, and it absolutely smashes all other like whatever comp variations, and it revolves around Zhongli's freaking like a petrify mechanic or something like that. Like they realize there's the weird bug if you petrify Zhongli, and then like have something happen, then monsters all blah 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 blah, then yeah, I think Zhongli is gonna get gutted the same way Venti did. But as long as Zhongli like functions, Zhongli, Raiden, Nahida functions on a level where it's like Hoyoverse can always tune them, rebalance their usage rate, and effectively move them around the usage rate list, right? Because they have all the data. Remember, the reason we're looking at the data is because Hoyoverse looks at the data. As long as they can control that comfortably and maneuver it around their sales for the reruns and whatnot, then everything will be fine. Then they will keep Archons in a very comfortable state. I'm not going to say they're going to make sure Archons, you know, like never become irrelevant, but then in my opinion, it would be very safe to invest into Archons. They would become the safest investment the game has to offer, mainly because they're huge cash cows, right? Trust me when I say this. It hurted Hoyoverse more than it hurted Hoyoverse far more than it hurted the players when they gutted Venti. Because by the act of gutting Venti in the way they did, they essentially threw away like tens of millions of dollars. You guys might think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but go look at the numbers for how much they've spent on, like, for how much they make on these rerun banners, and tell me they did not lose over like $10 million plus dollars. Easily 10 million. I would even go as far as to say $20-30 million. The HBK says Venti's banners still sell pretty well though. Yeah. Now imagine if the guy was as relevant as Zhongli and what's her Zhongli, Raiden, and Nahida is. Right? Just think about that for a second. Like, sure, like we can all agree Venti's banner still sells pretty well, but have you seen, like, okay, once Nahida's rerun comes out, we will see, right? We will see what a actual Archon should be commanding in this market space. How much should an actual high value Archon be selling for, right? Then we can truly say, right, like what's going on. Because right now, I think most people look at like 7-10 million, they think like, wow, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But when it comes to Hoyoverse, it's all about perspective, right? 20 million, 30 million is a lot of money too. So I'm just saying, Hoyoverse is leaving a lot of money on the table for Venti. Like Venti is a mistake they never wanted to talk about. They will never, and they never want to repeat that mistake. So don't get it twisted. It was a mistake what ended up happening with Venti. So I hope I'm not scaring some people off of Archons by saying, you know, look at what happened to Venti. My whole point with Venti is that look how they screwed up, and be thankful that it happened so early in the game that they are now extremely careful with how they proceed with future Archons and character design, right? So in fact, this should serve more as like a look, you know, we should be happy as opposed to being scared, because the Archons in the future are just going to be very stable characters that have less and less issues. Now, B. Johnson said, it wouldn't take too much to nerf Nahida, just make enemies that ignore reactions and only want physical geo. Oh, you see, it's not difficult to nerf any character, but the problem is if you want to target nerf a character, it becomes a little more complex than most people would imagine, right? So think about it like this. And a great example of this is Zhao. Zhao has been on the receiving end of some pretty disgusting like nerfs or counters. By no means was it intentional to target Zhao, but Zhao just somehow always ends up with the short end of the stick, because it just so happens that his kit is aligned with a lot of these other characters' playstyles and kit. Or Hoyoverse hates Zhao, but I would rather think it's just unlucky, right? He's a very traditional DPS character. His kit is very simple and limited, meaning that to deal damage you have to plunge attack, right? So that's like the only way. It's just like for Hu Tao you got to charge attack, but charge attack is in my opinion more maneuverable than plunging, right? Plunging, you got to jump up and then you got to come down on one spot, where it's charging with animation canceling you can actually become a little more flexible and maneuverable with that. But anyways, that's why HoYoVerse, while I give him a lot of praise for making like very smart business decisions, but I also have to at times kind of take some points off, because they really struggle with things sometimes when it comes to fine-tuning the balances of certain characters, right? Of course they're only human, they're not perfect, they're not like robots, but it's very funny to me that every time sometimes when they're trying to counter a certain meta, they will completely gut another character who is currently not relevant anyways, and they'll just pretend like it didn't happen, right? It's almost like you know the meme, those videos where somebody's holding something and something else falls, and then they let go of this. Let's say an egg falls out of the egg tray that you're holding, and then you let go of all the eggs to save that one egg, and then you're like, oh crap. It's kind of like that. Because when you fine tune something in a game like Genshin Impact, it's very difficult to not affect the rest of the roster, right? So we have to be careful. Are you trying to nerf this one character? Are you trying to nerf the entire category of these characters? Are you trying to nerf the whole reaction system of a type of reaction, right? We have to be very clear on this, because if this stuff is not clearly defined, for example, you might be trying to nerf Raiden Shogun, but somehow you screwed Ito, right? Or somehow you're trying to nerf Cryo and then you messed up Dendro. Because even though you could just target a certain reactions, you can start certain gimmicks, systems, sometimes they will overlook unique systems, such as the whole Magu Genki fight when it was designed to counter, like, nobody, when it first came out, nobody would have thought it was to counter Zhao, right? It was to counter bow users. Like, it even has a mechanic, if you shoot it from afar, it's gonna block it with its shield. So like obviously it was to target bow users. But did you guys know that the Magu Genki also has a mechanic where it dashes towards, towards the direction it's facing, and oftentimes it'll turn facing towards the bow character, so it's to close the gap between the bow characters and Magu Genki, so it makes the bow characters really uncomfortable, right? However, when Zhao plunges, apparently I've heard this from other Zhao mains, apparently if you plunge the Magu Genki and then you go too high, it'll deem that you are like too far away from it, right? So that it'll activate its dashing mechanic. So meaning you as a Zhao, if you're not animation canceling at like the shortest plunge point, and you let your Zhao go all the way up into the stratosphere and then plunge back down, Magu Genki likely won't be there anymore, right? So it's just stuff like this. Like, did they really intend to do Zhao dirty like that? Of course not. But it's just unfortunate that they overlooked that mechanic, and Zhao ends up as somebody who's gonna suffer because of it, right? And of course, Zhao players has been really good sports about this. They've supported Zhao throughout. I'm just naming one example, but there's a whole slew of things that happened in the past with Zhao, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg, as they would say it. Right, Zhao players are truly the most abused players in Genshin Impact. I don't think it really comes close. Right, Zhao truly is lamenting, along with the Zhao mains. Why does it sound like Chow main? But anyways, these are all examples of HoYoVerse making oopsies. The vast majority of the time, they are actually surprisingly on point with their balancing. Okay, so you guys don't have to worry. I think for the most part, Nahida, Raiden, Zhongli, they're gonna stay pretty relevant as they are. Now, let's focus on Nahida. We kind of went on a tangent for quite a while. Eula mains in pain? Well, the thing is, Eula mains never knew what being in the meta felt like, so, you know, think about it like this. If you fall from a chair and if you fall from a third floor building, which one's gonna hurt more? My point is, if you never knew what it felt like to be in the spotlight, you would never know what not being in the spotlight feels like. My point is, then, Eula was never in the spotlight. I'm gonna say it now, Eula was never meta. Eula was always a niche character that was like hyped up by pure marketing, as opposed to actually being a character of substance and value. I know, harsh words, but hear me out. Zhao was like, he was considered one of the Liyue big threes for a reason. He was incredibly easy to pick up and play. He was very powerful. He has insane scaling, and he had a lot of rosters of characters that actually, you know, like covered for his shortcomings. However, as the game developed, Zhao suffers also not from like game balancing, but also because his constellations are so bad, man. Zhao's constellations are actually so Duke, and the whole Venti nerf also got Zhao. Because by making less and less enemies spawn in the Spiral Abyss, right? Like, for example, if you have a C6 Zhao going against the Wii Nut, like, no, like, honestly, just tell me, like, what are you gonna do? You have your C6 Zhao going against the Wii Nut. It honestly feels like a C2 Zhao. The Wii Nut doesn't do a lot of damage, so your defense constellation is just garbage, right? So your C2 Zhao performs almost the same as your C6 Zhao. The only benefits you have is your additional your additional talent levels. That's it. So like, that's my point. Like, Zhao mains are lamenting because after being tested with time, you start to see that, oh my goodness, my character's constellations are utterly broken, like in a bad way. Is that it? Like, you struggle to find a lot of usage for it. Don't you guys want a character where no matter where you go to events, you go to like Overworld, you go to Abyss, like your character and the investments you put into the constellations is used everywhere? Right? It's just like, oh my god, I'm getting so much value out of this. Oh, it's the best $1,000 I've spent. Like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm sleeping on the streets now and couldn't afford rent. The fact that I pulled for a C6, blah blah blah. But it's worth it, right? I'm using it everywhere. But Zhao, it's very selective where you get to use it. But Archons are a different story, but also there's a cautionary tale somewhere in there as well. So let's talk about the Archons, okay? Nahida, her rerun. A lot of you guys have been asking me, Walrus, should I pull for Nahida constellations? Right? Should I pull for Nahida C2? Is it worth it? How have you felt playing with Nahida C2? The short answer is probably not. And I'll explain why. Okay, I'll explain why. I don't want to always just leave you guys hanging here. A lot of it has to do with Raiden Shogun, actually. So, you know what? We're going to use Raiden Shogun and Nahida as great examples, because they actually... A lot of people like to compare, like, oh, but look at Raiden C2 is such a transformative constellations. Like, what about Nahida C2? I'm so happy you guys brought this to my attention, because if you guys didn't ask me to compare it, like, I mean, the DMs asked me to compare it to Raiden Shogun, I would have never looked at it from this perspective. But if you look at it from this perspective, things become a lot clearer. Okay, so we're gonna make a video. Let me just record. I don't feel like saying this twice, because this is gonna get a little bit complicated. But stick with me here. I hope I can pull through. Okay. Sup everyone, welcome to another video. And as you guys can see, Nahida likely is going to make a rerun soon. All right, if everything lines up, the stars align, the patterns repeat itself, there's a good chance Nahida is coming in the 3.6 patch alongside Baiju, alongside Kaveh. Now, people also been sliding Nilou in that discussion. I don't know, but if Nilou is also coming, I'm just gonna say, damn, I feel really, really bad for the people who pulled Dia thinking that 3.6 was gonna be crap. But regardless, with this, people have started asking me about Nahida, her constellations. Now, as you guys have see here, I have Nahida level 90, I have her weapon, I have her at C2. What was her talents again? 366, right? Of course, people are going to start molding now, so we're going to exit out of that page. But let's talk about Nahida, constellations, values. What should you do, right, as a player? And I'm telling you again, if you're a free-to-play player, low spender versus a medium tier spender versus a large spender, your options are different, very different, depending on what characters you have built, depending on what weapons you have at times. Nahida, not so much, but other characters at times. So this is just general advice. Please, please, please understand this. And I'll do my best to give advice to the low tier spender, the free to plays, the mid tiers, and the whales. But then again, the whales don't need me to give advice. I'm just here to share with you my findings with Nahida. Okay. So this is the thing with Nahida. I like to use Nahida and Raiden as a comparison because people have asked me to make this comparison, and that is Raiden's constellation 2 was a transformative constellation. What does that mean? It means that it changed the way people played her. It opened doors. Well, it opened a door into a playstyle where you could consider her to be a hyper carry, meaning that you take her into a team where she's dealing like 85 to 90%, sometimes even 99% of the damage on the team. That's what a hyper carry is. I don't care how other people define it. A hyper carry is one unit on the team that shares like over like 90% of the damage threshold. Wait, what's that word? Distribution. 90% of the damage distribution for the team, right? That's what a hyper carry is. It means the other 3 characters in the team exist to support this character. And that's what happens when Raiden enters her C2 and C3, right? She becomes a hyper carry. Now, what does that mean? If you look at it from a paper perspective, it means that Raiden went from a character that supports her roster into a character that her roster supports. Make sense? So that's the difference for Raiden. Raiden became a more selfish character once she turned C2, right? And that is a design concept. What I'm highlighting for you guys is a design concept. You guys might be like, Walrus, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this has nothing to do with... It does. Trust me, it does. This is to help you guys understand, visualize the importance of Nahida and her design concept versus Raiden's, okay? So Raiden C0, she benefits the team, her team benefits back to her, and she benefits her team. That's how the national team works. Raiden national team functions off of this basis. She has a smaller distribution of damage with her teammates, right? Xiangling, in fact, in Raiden National, oftentimes can rival Raiden's damage output. And she needs that. That team needs that. But that's how Raiden functions at C0. So now let's look at Nahida. Nahida at C0 is by no means like a bad character. We can all say that. She is a Dendro Applicator EM buffer, to put in simple terms. Her Dendro application is incredibly consistent, it's very long lasting, and it reaches an incredible range. And it also is dynamic in that it doesn't matter where the hell the enemies run off to. They can go to Narnia. They're still going to get hit by the Dendro reaction, right? So once you've applied it and you don't have to move, you get a super armor when you're applying it. All of this stuff is great. But what is her design concept, right? Right now, Nahida, even at C0, most people would say is already completely and utterly busted broken. So does her C2 have the same effect as Raiden C2? Does it transform her? Is it a transformative constellation? Does it change the way we play her? And the answer to that is, in my honest opinion, Nahida C2 is not as transformative as Raiden Shogun C2. And Raiden Shogun C2 prior to the arrival of Dendro was a far more worthwhile investment. But with the arrival of Dendro and the potential of using Raiden just as a EM bot in the background, you don't even need Raiden C2 anymore to kind of get uses out of Raiden exclusive to just Raiden National. Now, of course, people always say, oh, but there was Raiden Taser back in the day, it was fine. But yeah, but, you know, I'm talking legitimate meta stuff here, which is like Raiden EM botting is pretty much just as relevant as having official, right? It's really, really good. That's my point. Now, Nahida C0 to Nahida C2 pretty much... If you were to just try to look at it with your naked eye, you like some people might even miss it because so much of it exists in the background. It's just a little bit more damage. So like here, I'm gonna take chat off screen for a little bit, but we're gonna read this together, and you tell me what the hell this means. Okay. So Burning Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon reaction damage they receive can score crit. Okay. Burning Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon reaction damage they receive can score crit hits. Crit rate and crit damage are fixed at 20% and 100% respectively. What does that mean? Like it's a very fancy way of saying it's like pretty much a 20% damage bonus. Like roughly. Sure, you like in a you might get 20 crits in a row sometimes, but over the span of, let's say, years of playing this game, it's a rough 20% damage increase, roughly. Right? Something like that. So like I don't know why they say it like this. Why they gotta do the whole crit rate, crit damage. Right? Anthony solicits 100%. It's not 100% because you only crit 20% of the time. So 20% of the time, you get a 100% damage bonus. Right? So it's like roughly, it's just like over a that's what I'm saying, over a long period, it's like a 20% damage bonus. That's it. Because you're not going to crit every single time. I know it's a weird kind of leap, but that's kind of how I see it, right? And of course, down here, it's a defense decrease by 30%. This constellation is good, but you guys have to understand where the design concept is. This design concept is that when it comes to Nahida, she empowers others. That's it. When you pull Nahida, you have to understand that Nahida doesn't function like Raiden doesn't function like John. She has a whole different design concept philosophy. That is, the more variations of dendro comps, the more you invest into other dendro comps and carries, the better Nahida's constellations are going to start looking, right? You're going to start noticing this more and more and more the more you invest into characters that are dendro-centric. So there's a good chance that in the future, there are characters that come out that this constellations would not benefit. For example, C0 Nahida works with Melt Ganyu just as well as C2. My point is, you have to be a dendro enthusiast to really want to invest into this. Whereas Raiden C2 was all about Raiden herself. If you cared about Raiden, if you wanted to play Raiden more and wanted to deal more damage, that constellation was to empower Raiden. Whereas this constellation doesn't do jack for Nahida, but it does so much more for the other characters out there. Does that make sense? Right? So if you are somebody who loves Nahida and you're trying to get her to Constellation 1, Constellation 2, you have to understand that her entire design philosophy is to help the rest of your compositions. Okay? So if you don't have any plans to invest into at least, I'd say 2 to 3 minimum dendro team comps, getting a Nahida C1, C2, it's just like, it's not good in value. The more you have outside of Nahida in terms of dendro invested, the better this constellation is going to serve you. Like, I'm talking about Nilou, I'm talking about Sino, I'm talking about Hatham, I'm talking about Tainari, maybe Baiju, maybe Kavi, and maybe even some future characters that come out. All of this stuff is just going to become better and better and better for you over time, right? So it's difficult to put a finger on exactly how good a constellation like this is because we are actually still so new into the whole dendro space. You guys might think, oh, dendro is such an old thing, but it's really not. Dendro has been around for like a little over half a year at this point, I think. But look at other reactions like electro reactions, hydro reactions, power reactions. I mean, a lot of them are still underdeveloped. So who's to say that Dendro is reaching the end of its cycle here? It's not. By no means is Dendro done and finished from the metas and it's fully developed. This is just continuously going to ever evolve and change into other things, right? So investing into Nahida is great, but I do always want to caution people that investing into Archons, their C0 value is already insane and off the charts. The reason why I think everybody and their grandmas should at least have a C0 Nahida is because C0 Nahida enables an entire like new way of interacting with Dendro team comms. Sure, Kali works, sure, Dendro MC works, but the ease of use for Nahida takes away a lot of the annoyance of dealing with application and durability of such applications, right? Having excess application is never a bad thing, which in most cases Nahida would bring excess application. It's very rare to see Nahida's Dendro application kind of disappearing and you having to reply. Oftentimes you just kill the enemies before it even finishes. But that's why I think a character like Nahida works so well for so many people, is that she comes in a lot of excess. There's a lot of her kit that doesn't need to be there, but it's already there, even at C0. And for those of you guys who are saying, but I don't like Dendro, I don't want to play Dendro, Nahida likely can synergize in the future with non-Dendro characters. I have really high hopes for Dendro's involvement in future melt compositions. So without having a proper Dendro applicator, you're likely not going to have very consistent melt reactions, because the whole concept between, in theory, how the future melt is going to work is using a long-lasting Dendro application to keep the flames burning on the enemy, so you can proc melt with your cryo characters and not have to, you know, switch into your pyro character to apply the pyro again. That's Dendro's job, to keep it burning. Get it? That's why it's called burning. So all in all, my point here is, I think low spenders and free-to-plays should not be going for constellations for Nahida, nor should you be going for her weapon. It's such a waste to pour in that amount of resource on a character who is so well designed for C0, and her entire reaction system with Dendro is so well designed for free-to-plays and low spenders. Take the value where it's at and invest into where things cost more, like maybe go get a constellation on Yelan. Maybe go get the Staff of Homa. I don't know, maybe go for a constellation on your favorite character. I think there's more value spent there for low spenders and free-to-plays, as opposed to then trying to upscale Nahida's constellations, because simply right now we don't have enough rosters even available to fully take advantage of her constellation. Now, maybe if you're a die-hard Sino fan, right, you play Sino religiously, you have Sino at like C2 and you're going to work him towards C6, yeah, maybe getting a C2 Nahida is going to benefit you because of her C2. But I just want to remind you guys that her C2 is also by no means like Raiden C2, right? Ignore defense and reduce defense, kind of different. So that's all I gotta say. I think you guys already know exactly what you want. Hopefully I was able to help you a little bit when it comes to understanding the whole concept of Nahida comparative to Raiden Shogun. They have almost exact opposite design philosophies, where Raiden becomes a very selfish character at C2, Nahida becomes an incredibly generous one at her C2. One gives out, one takes back in, right? That's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to join the video and make sure to join the live stream if you want to be a part of future discussions. And until next time, I urge you all to stay safe. Peace, peace. Bye bye. Well, so that's pretty much how it is, right? Nahida is a very outwards character. How well Nahida work with Nilou? Well, Nahida works with Nilou because of her application, right? Oh, right. I had to take off the chat from the screen because I was showcasing the constellations. sorry. Take the virus as team damage is more important than personal damage. That makes Nahida C2 better than Raiden C2. Well, Nahida C2 has much more uses than Raiden C2. Like I said, Raiden C2 is a extremely selfish constellation. That constellation only benefits Raiden and Raiden only, right? And in the whole in the whole scheme of Genshin Impact, we have come to realize a character that benefits other characters, aka support characters, has more longevity because you can always find like unique uses for them, even though it might not be like the best. You can still use them in ways that DPS characters simply just can't, because DPS characters, it's all about like who the hell can do more damage, right? In this scenario, who does more damage? That's it, period. So like, I think at the end of the day, it's your call, right? If you think Nahida C2 is worth it, you gotta weigh your pros and cons and go for it. But if you think that Nahida C2 is not a worthwhile investment, then don't go for it. Right? I know it's a very like, oh man, poopy answer, but I gave you what I think, and I'm being fully honest with you guys. I do think Nahida C2, in the meantime, for most free-to-play players, is not a worthwhile investment. For most free-to-play players, low spenders, I think you're likely going to find more uses out of maybe even getting a Baiju. Because, okay, and the reason I say that is because Baiju's current role is like, he is the first of his kind in terms of 5-star, and I do see that role becoming relevant. And he does something that Nahida doesn't do, which is heal. Right? I think, let's say, if you're asking me, is Nahida C2 or C1 more worth it than a C0 Baiju if you already have Nahida? So basically, you're just polling either for a C1 Nahida or a C0 Baiju. I think C0 Baiju is going to be worth more, because of that niche of he can heal. He's a Dendro healer, and I hope he can, like, I'm fingers crossed, I hope he's an applicator. If he is a Dendro healer and applicator, then god damn it, this character is going to be incredibly valuable for a lot of players. So Raiden C2 is worth more for low spenders F2P. No, I think Raiden as a character is like, you should not be investing into Raiden if you're not willing to pour in like the insane amount of resources that the character commands, right? I think Raiden is one of the most like hungry characters in the game. Raiden Shogun is so damn resource hungry that I honestly sometimes wonder like how feasible it is in modern Genshin for a new player to just come in and invest into Raiden Shogun and try to go for C2, C3. It kind of reminds me of Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact. Is that, I mean, sure, the character is cool and all, but you know, it's just, it feels a little overwhelming for somebody who's just getting into the game. And now don't let that stop you. If you're watching this and you're like a new player who just started, you know, like 2-3 months ago, and you're like, you know, Walrus, I've been always wanting to see C3 my Raiden. That's like the first character. Like, go for it. Like, she's a really strong character. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, like, you know, like, there's so many better avenues that you could be investing your your gems or your resources into, that you can build for the cost of one C2 hyper carry Raiden. You can probably build like 2 to 3 other teams, like really good teams, not just like random teams. So like that's all I'm saying. And remember, we also have to take into consideration you farming artifacts. I don't think I farmed more for Raiden. Like, I don't think I farmed more for any other character compared to Raiden when it comes to artifacts. Her artifacts are so uniquely like balanced. Like, your crit rate, crit damage on top of your attack, on top of your energy recharge, has to all balance. And if you don't have enough, then you have to go for electro damage in the beginning. And once you have that electro damage, eventually you switch to attack. It's just, it's like a whole jigsaw puzzle of perfectly balancing the character in terms of all her it's quite a challenge at times to have this. Yeah, farming emblem never ends. Exactly. You can always make Raiden's things better. And what ends up happening is a lot of people ends up tunnel visioning on this shit, and then you just never end. It never ends. It's a forever task. You're stuck until eternity. That's what it meant. That's what it meant all along. You were stuck for all eternity farming for her artifact set. And I don't want to put that kind of, I don't want to put free-to-play players onto that path, you know? I don't want to put free-to-play players, new players on down that path yet. That is the true end game of Genshin, is that perfecting characters. And no character requires perfecting more than Raiden Shogun does. And that is a damn fact. You guys know it. I'm not complaining, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I actually find the fact that I have something to do very enjoyable when it comes to endgame Genshin Impact. But it's just, I don't think that's the first thing you should be doing when you jump into the game. Can we all agree on that? Like, out of all the amazing things you could tell a new players to go and experience, you're going to tell them to go farm for Raiden artifacts for the next 3 years. Right? So weigh your options, people, right? Weigh your options. You got, but to weigh your options, you first got to know your options. And I'm telling you guys, there are plenty of amazing choices out there for people to invest into. Dendro should be the gateway most people get. Like, I don't care if it's like the most broken ragtag Dendro team you put together. Get a Dendro team together. That team is going to serve you incredibly well, even likely into the early stages of endgame. I'm talking like Hale, Dendro MC, like freaking Kuki Shinobu, and throw in like, I don't know, like Kokomi, whatever the hell you want to, like anybody, whatever the hell you have, like Barbara. Sure, you have like Kuki and a Barbara on the same time. I don't care. Like, just throw them in and watch them do whatever the hell they do, right? It's just, that's a much better investment early game, because that costs you nothing. Right, like whatever the hell you have, just find some Dendro and throw it in there, right? That's to get you to the end game. That team can more than likely propel you far further than any like non-Dendro team can. And when we talk about investment and like, oh, pulling for characters, then it's a whole different story, right? Because then you're telling me, oh, I'm gonna invest into XYZ character and and spend like $500. Now, well, how about your, the whole Dendro? Like, yeah, but the point is, Dendro is a low cost, high yield investment. But that's all I'm saying, people. That's all I'm saying. Like, people sometimes like to make it sound like I'm like a Dendro or die kind of guy, but I'm just looking out for you guys, saying like you probably should be smart about how you approach this game, especially since it's a gacha game, right? Be very, very careful how you spend your money. Be very, very careful what you pour your resources into. Metas change, metas come and go, my friends. Like, never get attached to certain play styles and ways of playing the game, because that can just like that, and it's gone, right? Like, your beautiful your beautiful $500 investment can just go down the drain just like that. All right, at least temporarily. EM main stat is also quite hard to farm. But the cool thing about EM is, have you guys realized sometimes you just need EM? As long as you get the main stat, you're done. That's like a what? 1 in 6, 7, 6, right? Attack, defense, HP, energy recharge. What else is there? EM. Wait, is it just 5? Is it 1 in 5? Am I missing something? Attack, defense, HP, energy recharge, EM. Right? I mean, that's... maybe the goblet piece is harder to farm EM, but my point is, like, EM, you just need the main stat, and you're good most of the time, right? Most of the time. Of course, having EM, having energy recharge as a substat can be very good. EM has a lower drop rate, but typically you care less about the substats. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, but like, yeah, I think EM is it's a great thing for people to farm for nowadays. It's in my opinion, it's a little too good. There's a little too much value in there. Well, hey, again, it's my opinion. Not trying to pass it off as facts or anything. EM Raiden is the way. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like suddenly EM Raiden popped out of nowhere and everybody's like, oh my god, Raiden Shogun, the savior of mankind. A free-to-place wet dream. I truly feel like EM is just how should I put it? It's such a weird. But EM puts a lot more emphasis on like RNG, right? It's because I remember I farmed for my entire Kazuha EM set for like triple EM in like 300 resin, and I know somebody who has been trying to farm like Kazuha's EM set like back then when I got it, but the person was farming for like 3 or 4 months and they were still missing one piece for EM, and they were farming every single day, non-stop. Every day, every bit of resin was going into that to farm for it, and 3 months in, they still were like they were fruitless. They had nothing. Like this stuff sometimes just doesn't feel fair. Cosmos says I'm still missing a piece. See, that's my point. That's the thing with EM. Farming is the point of the game. I think, you see, when it comes to farming, I think most people would prefer to have like one large farming sessions as opposed to like farming for like 15 minutes every like 20 hours or something like that. Right? I think that's like, for example, if you have a day off of work, you want to like put in the hours, you want to play for 3-4 hours that day, people want to have like the option of using my rest day to really grind out artifacts and just chill, open a Netflix show or get some anime on your second monitor, and just tunnel in and farm. And it gets very frustrating where you have your day off and you want to play Genshin, but you can't because, you know, like blah, 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 for whatever reason. So then that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. Like, I understand. I know. Methan says, "What do you think about Nilou?" Nilou is actually a very interesting character in my opinion. I think Nilou, when it comes to meta, there's no doubt that in my mind that she is top tier. But you see, my concern with Nilou has never been about whether or not she's good or not, but it's always like, how long is this character going to be good, right? I don't want to be like a Doom poster or anything, be like, oh, careful, Nilou nerfs. But it's just like a character like Nilou, she's incredibly unique. She's you see, the reason I'm pausing is that once it's out of the bag, I kind of have to give you guys a legitimate reason. And my main concern for Nilou is that I think there will come a day where she gets kind of like the Venti treatment. I'm just worried. Okay, I don't know what I don't know what kind of basis I have to say this, but I'm just worried that she ends up getting the Venti treatment, especially with the character being she's incredibly niche, and I don't know how long the meta is going to stay around for in terms of, you know, Dendro, Super Bloom, how, and she seems like a character that is incredibly easy to counter, at least in my opinion, right? Like, I think there's a I don't know. Yeah, she's already countered hard in this Abyss. Yeah, like, but at the same time though, you see, this is where I'm torn. This is where I'm torn. At the same time, there's also no, like, there's no way to shut her out. You know what I mean? It's like she's always gonna be there, always gonna be relevant. So like, of course, if you are somebody who wants to invest into your favorite character, you shouldn't let the fear of saying like, oh, but she's not gonna be the best character in the game. You shouldn't let that be a deciding factor as to why you invest it, because truth be told, if that becomes your deciding factor on whether or not you play and invest into this character, you likely will not have a very good time in Genshin Impact, and that's the truth. Okay, and that's the truth. But my point here is just to be like, objectively, is there potential in, like, let's say even Fontaine for Nilou to not be as relevant as she was a patch ago? And of course, absolutely, there could be things that could happen. I don't think I don't think they're cause. I don't think we should be worrying about that though. Like, Nilou might not always be the best available option in terms of DPS and stuff like that, but I can see that she's going to be a good option for a very long time. That makes sense? Can Nilou not work with Hyperbloom? Well, the thing with Nilou is, if you have Nilou, why would you want to play Hyperbloom, right? Most of the time, if you have Nilou, you're going to be playing Nilou Superbloom. Right? That's the thing with Nilou. Nilou is pretty like monotonous when you play that character. I think right now it's still very fresh, so people will be like, "Oh my god, so much fun!" But like, it is what it is. It's just a bunch of flower buds falling on the ground, and it explodes, deals a ton of damage. I know I'm kind of underselling her a little bit here, but that's kind of like the gist of Nilou, right? Like she enables that reaction. That's it. When it comes to strength, she's incredibly powerful, right? Like, she's very powerful. Even right now in the current Abyss, she's incredibly powerful against single. Like, this is the cool thing about Nilou, is that her design philosophy should not have been as good against single target enemies as she is. She has no business being that good against single target enemies. Even against bosses, like whatever the hell, and with how quick those flower buds explode, even like a very quick monster that flies around a lot, the Rift Hounds likely will just completely get eviscerated as well. It's so it has such a high scaling damage and it also activates so fast that it just, like, yeah, I think she's a good character. I think if you invest into Nilou, you are probably fine for the next, I would say, year or two. You'll be fine. Nilou teams are easy to build. Do you agree? Oh yeah. Nilou teams, I would argue Nilou teams are a little too easy to build. Like, slap some Dendro, slap some Hydro, and just watch everything disappear. Like that's pretty much Nilou teams in a nutshell. It's just slap. And like, even when it comes to like pressing buttons, you don't have to be too. You just got to understand, use Nilou's elemental skill 3 times, right? Or you can use her elemental skill and use attack, switch to other characters, and then just go ham. Like I think like, don't get me wrong. The reason I was so hesitant to say this is that I'm just trying to think. When it comes to the timeline and when it comes to how things work, I think when it comes to what's that place called, the Fire Region, Natlin and Nilou might see a little less usage, not because she's not good, but just because she's not the most like recently interesting thing, if that makes sense. She's still gonna be good, but she's just not gonna be exciting. So people are not gonna be leaning towards her, not gonna be using her as much. But when it comes to constellations, should you be getting Nilou constellations? I don't think you need to be too worried about her constellations just yet. I think Nilou as a character should, for the most part, just function as like a super bloom unit and don't think too much of her. And in part, that's also why I think she's such a cool unit, is that you don't need to overcomplicate yourself with Nilou right now, if ever, right? Rational is not exciting, but it is rational. Oh, you mean Raiden National, right? It's not exciting, but it's Raiden National. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Raiden National is like HoYoverse's bread and butter team for newer players, and for like Raiden National is like the vanilla of meta. That's like the gateway drug into becoming a meta player. it's the most like basic meta team you can invest into. It's tested for almost all iterations of the Abyss. It's incredibly versatile. So like, yeah, I think this is the investment bridge, right? You should be getting a Hyperbloom team once you get into the game. That's like the first thing you should be looking towards. Investing into a Hyperbloom team, eventually looking to build it up. And then from Hyperbloom, if you want to be a meta player, go into Raiden National. That's eventually, you take a Hyperbloom team, that's going to carry your ass for like the first, like all the way till AR 55, 56. And then you slowly translate that into Raiden National, becoming a meta player, you know, getting some of that vanilla rubbed onto you, right? You get a taste of what true meta feels like, right? How, like, you get a sense of what perfect rotation feels like, when everything just flawlessly connect with each other and you just watch enemies kind of fall in, like, in your presence, and you're like, oh my god, I could get used to this, you know, I want more of this. What are some other meta teams? And then you kind of get into the whole rabbit hole of becoming a meta slave, right? You're constantly worrying about like, oh my god, it's like, how am I going to optimize my blah 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 to do this blah blah blah, right? Like, and then you're just constantly stressing out, being like, oh no, this new character is going to become meta, but what about my current meta team? It's part of the cycle, people. It's part of the cycle. You can never get used to this stuff. It's just like, it's a never-ending vicious cycle of worrying whether or not your favorite character that you just poured your blood, sweat, and tears for the last 6 months into, and now it's finally, you know, it's like, oh, finally, it's complete, and it's like, oh, it's out of the meta now. This other team comp is number one, and then you're like, oh no. But the good thing is, if you are smart and you invest into characters that share artifact sets, like the emblem set, right? Oftentimes now we got the Deepwood set for Nahida. I think it's called the Deepwood set, right? Like, am I crazy? Yeah, the Deepwood set, and then you also got the Gilded Dream set. A lot of these sets kind of get slapped around different characters. Viridescence, right? You don't want to ever farm for something like Archaic Petra. You'll never catch me farming this domain, even if like for one patch, like Archaic Petra becomes like the most meta thing in the whole. Like, same thing for Bolide. Some people's like, oh, but Bolide has some usage, you know, like unique. No. Don't get it twisted. Okay, don't get it twisted. It's never happening. Same with Lava Walker, right? There's some copium people who has a cracked out Lava Walker set and be like, just you guys wait, when Natlan comes, I will be the only one that's laughing. Sure, buddy, laughing in hysteria maybe, but and where's that other one? Oh, here, right? Same thing with Pale Flame set. Like, you know, if you spend 6 months farming for this, like, I'm sorry, man, like you like, okay, I'm not sorry, but you gotta really love the character you're farming this for. Let's say if you're a Eula main, you gotta really like go see like a shaman or something and be like, you know, when it comes to you and Eula, how are your red heartstrings fate twisted together? Like, how much are you guys destined to be with each other? Because if you don't figure out the feng shui voodoo behind all this, like, you might be severely disappointed in the long run, right? But this set could be pretty good, like Tenacity of the Milliliths. Unfortunately, it's tied with the Pale Flame set, so good luck farming that. I'm never going back to this domain. I have one set that is usable, and every character is using that set, right? It doesn't matter if you're fucking Kuki Shinobu, it doesn't matter if you're like whatever the hell, everybody's using that set. Zhongli, you name it, right? Just run 2 Pale Flame, 2 Bloodstain like a normal person. Yeah, but doesn't your waifu deserve the best? You know, that's what they always say. But my waifu deserves the best. Sure, buddy. Televirus says your full resin is giving me anxiety. I was saving this resin for our grind session. Look at that. Oh, I don't want to go back here, man. This is so like, oh, every time I do this is such a painful experience. You see, I've been farming this domain for like 2 months to try to get a Raiden upgrade, and I have not gotten an upgrade. So for reference, this is what I'm currently working with, right? I'm trying to upgrade off of these sets. And you tell me how long it's going to take for me to get an upgrade from these sets. God damn it. This is so frustrating. Like, look, I got electro damage on set, on emblem with a 21% crit damage. Like, when am I ever going to get an upgrade? Maybe for this. This is probably like the closest piece I can get to an upgrade. But then again, this domain, and also I'm also farming for potential Hu Tao upgrades, right? So I'm also farming for the Shimenawa set, so my Hu Tao can get an upgrade. Oh, brother, this is torture. What's my Raiden stats? It's all right. 61, 130, 268.6. It's all right. Electro damage is 114.1. I want to get the crit rate maybe closer to like 65, 70%. I want crit damage 145, maybe 150. Like, that's where I want her to be. That's a pretty good Raiden Shogun at that point. But I don't think it's possible unless I run... Then again, no, maybe not. I think I can do it. I can do it by the end of the year. How about that? I can do it by the end of the year. Kyo says, new subscriber. Welcome, my friend. You know, it's very rare nowadays we get new people coming in here. Everybody is so experienced with the game. It's very difficult to meet new people in Genshin. But always welcome new people. Don't take me too seriously. I always gotta give you guys this warning, and don't get weirded out when I'm sus. That's just who I am. It's in the name, EroticWalruss. I can be a little over the edge sometimes. Like right now, because I'm about to hit the best, fattiest, juiciest artifact of the century. Screenshot that, baby. Anyways, what were we talking about? AJ says, first month of Emblem, I got some okay stuff, then took a whole year to get an upgrade on my Raiden. Yeah, like this isn't for the faint of heart, people. If you guys ever, like, if people ever tell you Genshin is a casual game, they obviously never made it to end game, because this is, there ain't nothing casual about this, baby. Like, oh my god. What are you doing? Let's go. Come on. Give me a double. I gotta stop looking at the substats. I gotta start looking at the main stats first. I'm always looking at the substats. I got a little excited. I saw attack percentage, saw crit rate. I was like, oh my god, and it's max crit rate. It's, oh. Okay. Non-condensed resin artifact domain. I found that I get luckier with non-condensed resin. Like that, at least that's what I've noticed. When I do condensed resin, I feel like I'm not as lucky. I don't know. Maybe some people have told me like it's the opposite for them. Dude, I swear EroticWalruss plays with these numbers, man. Like, don't. I swear to God, they play with the numbers. You cannot commit. God damn it. This has to be like, this has to be one of the worst artifacts in existence. The main issue is like even if you say, oh, Walrus, but you know, some characters scale off of HP, some characters scale off of defense. Yeah, but you have a character that scales off of HP and defense at the same time? I don't think so, right? So it's like, fuck! Dude. I don't like using Strongbox because I want to feed these artifacts to level up my other artifacts. As a content creators, you guys would know like how many different characters we have built up and how much of them like, because you can't showcase a character with no whatchamacallit, with no like with no artifacts. So we're constantly struggling because we're constantly trying to build the new characters, and sometimes when viewers ask for like weird builds, I'm also like be like, okay, let me try that out, and it's expensive. It's very expensive. So I have like so many different sets just sitting around ready to be swapped in whenever. Oh my God. Really? We're gonna use the whole 160 without anything? It's all fodder? All of it's just fodder. Rebon says, to be honest, what's even the point to put the defense on artifacts when barely any characters scale off of defense? Right. But then again, Zhao gets a huge defense bonus at Constellation 4. It's just like, there's a lot of things in Genshin that don't make any sense, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. You would question why it's in the game, why it's there. I always just chalk it up to like EroticWalruss just wants to find some unlucky. There it is. Let's look at this one first, because this one could be good. This one, most likely, it's hard for me to get an upgrade on this piece. But surprise me. I gotta get that to, I'm gonna try to get that to level 4. If it rolls crit damage, go fuck yourself. Okay, we're gonna roll that to +4 right now. Let me see my Hu Tao artifacts. What am I rocking? Oh. Oh wait, but no, this is right. Oh. Well, it's very unlikely, but I still think we should roll it. This one. Is there anything else that's good? Oh, this one's pretty good. Wait a minute. Hold up a minute. This could be a huge upgrade if I roll well into this one. Okay, let's roll this first and then we'll roll the other one. We'll get both of them to +4. Come on. Come on, do me proud, baby. Do me proud. Don't embarrass me in front of chat. Thank goodness it wasn't this one. Thank goodness we didn't do that on this one. I swear to God. If you guys can hear my heartbeat right now, this ain't normal. I can feel my heartbeat on my neck if that. Why am I so nervous? Why am I so nervous? Man. Wait, what? How many of these do I got? What? If this rolls attack percentage, energy regen, even EM wouldn't be too bad. Come on. There's 3 stats that we could get on this. And we already have flat defense. You can't give us... Of course you can. Okay. Well, that's why we're here. that's why we're here. Glitch variable says the game should have a main stats selection option. Actually, I'm glad that you asked. I'm talking to some Honkai Star Rail beta players. Apparently in Honkai Star Rail, there will be an item where you can exchange for an artifact. Essentially, they call it relics, which is basically it's artifacts. They just call it something else, where you can exchange for a relic of a main stack of your choice. But I think it's very expensive. You exchange it by using, I think, other artifacts, and I think you need like 10 to exchange for 1. So it's like a 10 to 1 ratio, but you get to pick the main stat of your choice. Yeah, it's in the battle pass or something like that. Yeah, like I was talking to the players. I'm currently working on a Honkai Star Rail video. So for people who want to play that game, I'm gonna have like maybe next week I'll have a whole like video for everything you need to know before playing. It's like all like the nitty gritty stuff. It's a lot, but it's been very eye-opening for me to do the research and this stuff. So I'm very excited to share this stuff with you. There's a ton of stuff in Honkai Star Rail. Quality of life. They took the best of both worlds between Genshin systems and the Honkai system to make a game that's honestly, I think when it comes to systems and quality of life, it's better than Genshin. But really, we'll have to see to play the game to really feel it. I don't want to give it too much praise before it's even out yet, because a lot of this stuff could be subject to change. We're leveling that up. We're leveling that up. Okay. Give me crit damage, baby. What do I have here? Ah, that's so good though. But if I can get an onset piece, then I can switch out one of these for an offset piece. Maybe this one. I can switch out for like an offset piece. It's gonna be tough to beat this for Hu Tao though. Birdie says you scared my cat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was that the one? Oh my goodness. I think that is a very rare find for us. This crit rate, look at how okay. Crit damage. 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 I saw in a study, and I'm not capping you guys. I saw in a study, they say that your brain waves can influence the results of RNG. I don't know where I saw it. I think I saw it in like a YouTube short or somewhere. It was like they did a study where they took a robot and put it in a room, like a Roomba or so, like, no, Trump, listen. Hey, hey, I'm not crazy. I swear. I swear. Okay, listen to this. There was an experiment where they took like this Roomba or something like that. It's like completely random, or like it's just a robot that goes randomly in a room. They put it in a room and then let it run, and then they mapped out how it ran. Okay, and then they took like a chick, like a baby chick that just hatched, and they put it in that room, and the chick imprints off of the first thing they see. So that chick, when it first was born, the first thing it saw was that robot. So the chick started mimicking that robot and how it moved around the room, right? So they let these two kind of bond for a little while, and then later they removed the chick and let the robot run again. And then for the longest time, the robot's pathways are like just random. They couldn't tell if there's a pattern. And then once again, they reintroduced the chick into the room, and then the robot had a complete different way of moving, and it's not a Roomba. So people who are saying like, yeah, Walrus, obviously a Roomba with like a live thing in there is gonna alter its. No, it wasn't a Roomba. It was like a robot that's just designed to kind of just go randomly in the room. So then they conclude it's like, okay, so the presence of that little baby chick affected the movement of the robot, right? So then and then they took that finding and then they shared it with other, I think, facilities, and then the other facilities also ran certain tests of people trying to influence RNG outcomes with, you know, through thought. And they said, and I quote, that they did indeed find there is a correlation between certain results and your brain function. So I'm gonna put that to the test here, chat. I'm gonna put that to the test. I want all of you guys to think as hard as you can for crit damage. And I'll know if you guys aren't doing it, because if we don't get crit damage, it's your fault. Okay? So remember this. Remember, chat. Pray for crit damage. I wonder if 200 something people's brain functions can influence this. Crit damage, 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 please. Crit damage, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage. Oh. It was a mistake to trust chat even for a split second. I knew exactly what you guys were thinking now. I see how this is gonna be. I see how this is gonna be. I see how this is turning out. This is sabotage. Omnipotent Bagel says, you can't blame me, I was manifesting crit. See, your brain gave you copium. Bro, I live off of that stuff, man. Like, at this point playing this game, like, come on, like, you can't tell me you guys haven't had a moment of copium belief when you're farming for artifacts in this game. Come on. Come on. They need to remove crit rate and crit damage from video games in general. I am so done with... I'm so sick. Like, this looks like a good artifact on paper. Wow, energy recharge, attack percentage, and elemental mastery. But then you forgot. It's crap unless you have crit rate and crit damage on it. Okay, just one more. One condensed resin. One condensed resin. Take the Rise of Wars. Will you play Diablo 4? I'll probably play it. I don't know if I'll make videos for it, but I think here it's coming out in June. So, oh right, and people, I'm gonna be away from April 26th to May 8th. So my plan is to pre-record videos. So actually, only you guys here now would know that Walrus will not be around from April 26th to May 8th. So So whatever videos you guys see on those, that's not the worst. For some characters, you really do need ER. Visiting China? No. I'm gonna be away on a trip. I'm actually surprised. I'm visiting China next year. Have some stuff to do in China next year, and yes, it's already planned. Next year in January, I'm gonna be gone for like a whole month next year. Holy shit. I think my channel is just gonna die. My channel is gonna die. I'm gonna be gone for a whole month. My goodness, my record. Why is my battle pass level 14? Good question. I love it when people ask this question. I'm a player. I will only play the game. Like, I will only play the contents of the game when there's like interesting stuff that I want to play. When the game, like for example, if the events don't interest me, I'm not gonna play the events. So that's to answer in short. I just haven't been playing all the events this game. This patch. I've been farming artifacts. I've been just like prepping my account, farming resources, but I wasn't touching the events. China stream? I would love to stream for you guys in China actually, but I don't think I can stream in China. Rodas is like my BP is more filled than Walrus. For example, last patch, by now, I was already done. Like, I was done with the BP last patch, like, before the second banner even came out. So, it really depends on what patch I'm playing in. I will play the game to no ends when I actually enjoy the patch. So, because, think about it like this, people. If you work, like, if you work, and then you come home, what do you want to do? Do you want to be playing something that's just like, oh, like kind of like icky, like whatever, or do you want to be playing something that's fun and engaging, right? So I put my time towards things that I find more fun and engaging. So that's why my BP sometimes is just under leveled, because I'm not playing. Yeah, I refuse to play. That's why I end up buying a lot of my gems. I've been saving this stuff for like this whole patch. I haven't summoned for anything. I haven't touched these banners. Look, I am so ready for Baiju. Wait, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm like 50 something. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. Look at that. D-look. I'm 50 summons in, so I need like around 30 summons to guarantee my next 5-star. I am so prepared for Baiju, you guys have no idea. Baiju, I might actually even release videos about Baiju. I'm gonna be, because the reason is I've talked about Baiju since like like right around Yao Yao came out, after seeing how Yao Yao performed, and I was like, god damn, like if Baiju is the 5-star version of this, we are in for a treat. Right? That's what I said. I said that back in the day, and I still stand by me, where I think Baiju is going to be a pretty good character. I think a lot of people might end up sleeping on him, both metaphorically and physically. Wink wink. But yeah, people, you guys really need to, really need to keep your eyes peeled for Baiju. Whew. Exciting times. Walrus, pull for Shenhe weapon so you can flex on new Genshin peeps. Oh, you mean this weapon? Got that calamity queller? You mean this weapon? Yo, this weapon, this has got to be one of the better looking spears in the game. It's actually a very chonky weapon, if you guys have noticed. Okay, look at how thick this weapon is. Wait, oh wait a minute, Is it just me? No, no, look. Look how skinny this spear is. And look at how... Oh! Look how skinny this one is. This one's thick as well. Like, when I first saw this spear, the first thing I thought was, why the hell is this spear so chunky? Like, why is it so thick? We need to find Yao Yao. Look how cute Yao Yao is with the... Because I love it when the weapons, because they scale with the character size, right? Look how thick that thing is. Look, her thumb. Her thumb is clipping through this spear. Look. Look, this spear is going into her, like, thumbs. You see that? Wait a minute. That's just how Yao Yao is. No, I swear this is thicker. You guys cannot tell me. I am not crazy. Tell me this Calamity Queller is not a thick spear. Look how skinny this one is. Look. And a boom. That's the first thing I noticed. I'm not gonna lie. That's the first thing I noticed about this spear. Even before reading the effects, I was like, damn, that's a thick boy. Walrus about to be cancelled saying thick and Yao Yao in the same sentence. I wouldn't doubt it for a second. Listen, if I were like Tectone size, I would have been cancelled way more than that guy has, just because of the weird shit that I say on stream. It was made with Shinhe's thickness in mind. But isn't the thickest Adepti Ganyu though? Was it not? Am I misremembering things? Isn't canonically Ganyu supposed to be the thickest? Because apparently she choked. I know. I'll keep talking about it, chat, and I won't stop. Didn't she choke a sea monster to death because her waist was too wide to get swallowed? Like, no, this is canonical shit. Like, I'm telling you guys. Who says it? Who the hell says it? I don't think she says it herself. Is it in her profile? Who says it? Somebody says it. I remember there was somebody. Yeah, I'm not going to read through every single one. But you're just going to have to go with bro, trust me for this one, alright? Ganyu is canonically said to have choked a sea monster that was trying to swallow her to death by her thick waistline. Was it the last one? Did they bury it all the way down? Profile? Feelings about Ascension climax? What? Yo, this isn't PG. It's in her story. Character details. Let's see. That new policy is not for those who witness her standing at the dock. No, not this one. Ganyu is not the secretary. Blah 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 blah. It's not the. Nope, not this one. Let's go from the bottom. Details, notes, these include points of character, are not really scripted here. What the fuck is this? Character story. Okay. Nope, not this one. No, not this one. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's a story quest, not the story? Really? Well, here it does say that 3,000 years ago, Einstein called Mordecai, aiding him in the Archon Wars, and when the wars were over, she chose to stay in Lydia. I'm telling you, during this war, is this the one? Is this the one? It doesn't say it though. It's in story 5. Oh, here. Here, it's at the bottom. I didn't even read it to the bottom. Yo, read this. During the Archon War, she once choked a giant monster to death with ease after getting lodged in its throat when it tried to eat her. Said monster having fatally underestimated quite how wide her waistline was. I would like to hear a story where anyone else in Genshin choked a sea monster to death. Oh, a giant monster. Right. I would like to see someone rival this feat. Try beating that. I gotta C6 Ganyu one of these days, man. I'm telling you guys. I gotta set aside like $1,500 and just C6 Ganyu just for that. The thickest girl, the clement, the merciful, Westward Sojourn, Cloud Strider, the auspicious Dew Drinker. The last one should have been called the Choker. Discord Wars. Okay, let's see what's up. Moonlight is asking, Wars, do you have any idea to retrieve Genshin account? Okay, so for people who have had compromised accounts, what I always suggest you to do is immediately contact Hoyoverse, strike the iron when it's hot, and I pray to God you have a copy of your UID. All right, if you don't have a copy of your UID, record it right now. Like, record a copy of your UID, email Hoyoverse immediately when you find out. And in past, I've actually heard from people who have had their accounts stolen. They did get their accounts back. So first, of course, set up two-factor authentications. All my videos and my live stream, if you guys, I believe, scroll down. Unfortunately, not my live stream. I probably should add it. But if you go to any one of my videos, there's a two-factor authentication setup link for Genshin Impact, like right in the description. I always include there because back in the day, I've had so many people come to me telling me how they lost their accounts, and it sucks to hear, but there's little I can do, right? But yeah, protect your accounts, and when you notice it's gone, you gotta immediately contact Hoyoverse. Yeah. So protect your account right this very moment. If you're not protecting your account right now, you got to do it right this very moment. Like when it comes to accounts in Genshin Impact, losing them really sucks because a lot of the times you've poured in like hundreds, if not some people even thousands of hours, not thousands, like maybe over 1,000 hours playing this game, right? So really got to be careful. Keep a copy of your UID because it's very quick and easy for Hoyoverse to identify what account you're talking about just if you provide them with the UID. If you don't know, they can probably still find it if you give them your email, but that's going to take far longer because they're going to go away and like, oh, okay, we got to go find this account, blah, blah, blah. And it's just better to just have your UID on hand. So yeah. Don't do this until it's too late because recently, not gonna lie, my Steam account got hacked. So you can never be too careful. And there's been a whole wave of cyber attacks recently. If you guys know about Linus Tech Tips, how many people in chat knows about Linus Tech Tips? Like even Linus's YouTube channel got deleted temporarily. He made a video about it. You guys can go see it. Like there's been waves of cyber attacks all over the place. So you guys really got to be careful. Like if you guys still have no two-factor authentication for your emails, for your stuff, I highly suggest it. It takes you no longer than like 3 to 5 minutes. But trust me, the peace of mind you can get from securing all your stuff is invaluable. So yeah, protect yourselves, people. Protect yourselves. Set up two-factor authentication right now. And protect your emails, especially. Like if you're a Genshin player, you've been playing this game since like patch 2 point something. Imagine one day logging in and all your weapons are gone, all your artifacts deleted. Like what are you gonna do? Right. Like thankfully, I don't think you can delete characters. Right? It's not like Pokemon. You can't just let Alhaitham go. You can't just release Alhaitham back into the wilderness. Thank goodness that's not a thing. So usually what ends up happening is when people take your Genshin account, they'll just play on it themselves. They'll just start playing the game. And I've heard back like in patch 1 point something, people who've lost their account and got it back, they actually got more primo gems. Like there was somebody I remember specifically, they said their Hu Tao was using a Dragon's Bane, and when they came back, the Hu Tao had a Staff of Homa, and she also went from C0 to C1, and some other characters were really well built. And then the hacker actually message them through through the friend system saying, hey man, I spent money on that account, can I have it back? Okay, imagine this scenario. Somebody hacks into your account, spends money on it, wails on your account, and then you get your account back, and they have the audacity, because they added the friend, they have the audacity to come and ask you, can you give me that account back because I've spent money on it? I swear to God, I'm not making... The guy who even sent me the screenshots, I think, you are fucking kidding me. Like, you are kidding me. Like, really? Because it took HoYoverse forever to get it back. It took HoYoverse like a month and a half to get it back, but they did get it back. But goddamn, the hacker must have been like, wow, like, I still have access to this account 2-3 weeks in. Like, I must have got him, right? Because they probably relinked it all to their own email, set up two-factor authentication, and just took the account. Yeah, he did buy the account. The hacker technically the hacker sold the account to someone else, right? So the person got like a head start. They probably paid a fraction of what it would cost if you were to really pull for the characters. The account was like a small spender account, Welcome Moon plus BP plus a little bit here and there. So they had Hu Tao, they had like all these characters, Zhongli, Venti. So the hackers probably sold it for like maybe like 20% of the cost it would actually cost. So for people buying these accounts, it was probably worthwhile to just buy an account that was already built, right? So it was freaking hilarious. I was like, well, I mean, free Homa, free constellations, man. But yeah, like as long as you have your UID, it's very easy to track down the account, and you can prove it very easily that it's your account through emails, through setup, and all that stuff. And HoYoverse can see that recently the email was changed and stuff and like that. Like they can't get away with it as long as you have stuff ready. If someone stole my account and I couldn't get it back, makes it easier to quit, to be honest. Look, some people, I swear, some of you guys are probably sitting there like, please, someone steal my account so I can stop. So please get me out. I need help. But I'm not going to reach out my hand for help. I need somebody to go out of their way to help me. Is it better to screenshot your characters, weapons, and artifacts? I would do it, but the thing is, this stuff is always changing, right? Like, if you're grinding artifacts and stuff, then you're gonna have a whole inbox of just screenshots. Usually, if you have your UID, HoYoverse can see what happened. Like, you don't need to tell Hoyoverse what happened. They will go back into the logs and they'll see exactly what the person salvaged, what the thing is. But I don't know if Hoyoverse would give it back. Do you guys remember Jazzy? I don't think many of you guys would. Him and I used to be pretty close, and he had a stream where once he leaked the DMs of one of his viewers' account information on stream. So what ended up happening was within like 5 to 10 minutes, that person's account was hacked, and she lost her Zhao's spear. If you guys go to Jazzy's channel, I think it's still there. Like not her account information, but he made a community post and everything like that. And eventually on the rerun, we pulled together some money from both him and my channel, and we were able to get her weapon back. But yeah, but like the guy went in and just deleted her Zhao spear, just like that, and it was leaked on stream for like no longer than a second or two, and then poof, on that stream actually her account got hacked. So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, anyways, Hoyoverse has the backlogs. They know exactly what's going on, so don't need to worry too much about it. Damn, why Zhao weapon? Because she was a Zhao main. So, yep. She was a Zhao main. Dude, why is it always Zhao mains? Now that I think about it, why is it always Zhao mains? Oh my god. Oh my god. I just noticed. It's always Zhao mains. I feel so bad. It's tragic. Let me see. I'm on Jazzy's channel. I'm trying to find it. Years ago. Wow, this brings back memories. He does pop into my stream every few months, but him and I used to both make Genshin content. He made like guide videos and stuff like that. I think honestly, I think he would have been very big if he kept going. I think he deleted it. He had some great videos too for Genshin Impact. His video, he quit Genshin a little over a year ago. His last Genshin video was called By Genshin. Ah, this tears at my heartstrings. Dude was look, best team builds for Yanfei, 101,000 views. Like, this guy he knew what he was doing. He was a meta player and he had some very quality content. Unfortunately, he just wasn't discovered. We can't always, like, this is my honest opinion, so take it as that, just my opinion. It's like, I don't think the best content creators are usually the ones that receive the most attention and support. You guys never heard of him? Here, let's watch one of his videos. Let's watch his Yanfei videos. And you tell me. I think the guy made some really good videos, right? Like, I think the guy made some really good videos. We're not gonna watch the whole video, but just...
Hey, what's going on, guys? How is everybody doing? In today's video, we'll be going over several of my favorite team comps for Yanfei. She's a charge attack based pyro catalyst carry who specializes in single target damage, though her kit does allow her to deal significant AoE base damage if your group enemies up naturally through kiting or through other crowd control means. Because of her combat style, utilizing a lot of charge attacks, managing your stamina is vital to avoid taking unnecessary damage due to the inability to dodge. Additional safety nets can be built into your teams, however, by either utilizing shields to absorb some of that damage and playing a bit more carefree with Yanfei's incredibly small health pool, or adding heroes that can reduce the stamina cost of said charge attacks. If you're new to Yanfei and want specifics about her individual build, you can check out my full guide on her. Link will be in the top right and in the description below. We'll be
like look at this thumbnail. Look, let's just pause. Look at this thumbnail. Look at the amount of effort and information that already goes into the thumbnail. Right? This is what I'm saying. Like, this dude meant business, and he put in a lot of work when it came to like making this stuff. Right? Right? So it's just like, it really sucks to see like he never really got the recognition that he honestly deserved, in my opinion. Right? I found the dude very, very chill, and he delivered information very well. Okay, and again, this is not throwing shade at currently like guide creators. They're all really good. It's just I feel like Jazzy was on their level, like is on their level, right? If not higher, because like it's just the attention to detail that he put in. But it's just unfortunate he never was discovered and he never blew up the way he should have.
Look at what elemental reactions we'll want to make a priority.
It is very high quality. Look, like,
let's jump right into the video.
Like, I can't do this.
Let's first start with what I consider to be Yanfei's best in slot team. The first hero I want to discuss is Saint.
Like, tell me, who's making these kind of like graphical, like animation graphs, like
so as most like, what the fuck? In this video or elsewhere, you'll likely see a lot of him. And that's simply because he is the best pair for Yanfei. Pyro heroes are in a bit of a weird place, especially with heroes with a short interval between attacks. They have access to two of the most powerful damaging reactions in the game, Vaporize and Melt, but they have trouble utilizing it properly because the supporting heroes from both partner elements, Hydro and Cryo, apply the elemental debuff too slowly to be applied before Pyro sparks the reaction. So you end up in this weird scenario where your supporting heroes are actually the ones triggering their reaction and being used to calculate damage and not your main DPS.
Like, listen to the things he's saying as well. Like, the information he's delivering is by no means like not as concrete and as good as Ziox, as you know, Sevi Plays and all these other guide people. It's just nobody knew who he was, and he was way ahead of his time, in my opinion. This guy was far. You would be pressed to find a Genshin guide video this detailed and this good, even in modern day Genshin.
Yes,
right,
this is why Xingqiu is so covered floors that we have. Bennett will help. It's a bit of a is more important. Not to mention that Diona.
Oh, he swapped the teams at the bottom.
Rainfire resonance for an additional 25% attack boost, and while by the floor's constant waves of Hydro, Bennett will help you get out of that. Just make sure to save your skills and bursts for after you cleanse the slowing waters off your team. This next team still features our favorite Hydro support hero, Xingqiu, but we've swapped out the other two staple support heroes for a new pair of Cryo heroes, Rosaria and Diona. Just a couple minutes ago, we talked about how the Cryo heroes we currently have access to apply.
But yeah, that's Jazzy. Cool guy. Really, really, really enjoyed chilling with him. Most underrated Genshin tuber is chilling with Aster. I actually know chilling with Aster. I think chilling with Aster is I wouldn't say she's underrated. I think she's doing really good, isn't she? Like, she creates, is it lore content, I believe, right? All the guide content creators are good. It's just in the way they deliver the information, right? So I think Ziox takes a very chilled and leveled approach. Sevi is more, I mean, Sevi has a lot of personality. I think she's really fun to listen to. Braxophone has his kind of weird brand of humor that goes into his videos, right? They all have these they all has these different things they do with their content, and they all kind of do the same thing. They teach people how to play the game. They show you guys what's best, what's meta, what's currently available, and that's it. And people go about their days, you know, a little more knowledgeable. Like, do you have to be some sort of high budget? Well, oh, and there's gacha gamer as well, right? So it's like what I'm saying is Jazzy could have easily been in Ziox's position, and Ziox could have easily been in Jazzy's position had things played out a little differently. A lot of this stuff is luck. It's not really like he wasn't giving good enough information or he wasn't doing XYZ. It's just maybe luck of the draw, maybe some finer details, maybe who knows? Like if I knew, maybe I would have been like whatever, right? But it's just, my point is there's a lot of content creators that exist in this space that that unfortunately don't have as much support as others do, or as they deserve. And honestly, I think I have more support than the content that I put out deserves to have, if that makes any sense, right? I think other people who are doing exactly what I'm doing, who don't get as much attention, like sometimes might have something worthwhile to say, but because the fact that they just don't have the support community around them, it just kind of fades into the abyss, right? Kanan says, I like Mogadi. Mogadi is great as well. Mogadi is like, he just plays the game, he enjoys it, he builds a character, he's fun, he's excited, he always feels like he's up to explore and stuff like that. Mogadi is really cool. So but like there's plenty of other people who are excited about the game who will never reach Mogadi's level. It's just there can really only be one or two maybe Mogadis in the space, and then everybody else that's kind of similar in the same category kind of gets filtered down. And I think that's how YouTube's algorithm works, is that they'll always promote the best and people always want the best. But that's all we have time for. Thank you guys so much for chilling around. Gonna upload that Nahida video, and then once Baiju comes out, then we'll actually do like a Nahida versus Baiju, because I think a lot of people don't have the resources to pull Nahida and Baiju. But I think if you had to pick one or the other, which one is going to be more beneficial? I'm sure there's going to be a clear distinction. I just don't know what that is. Okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. And again, thank you for the support as always. I truly don't deserve this much support, like I said, but thank you for being here. And hopefully, as I move into Honkai Star Rail, what I can promise you guys is I will never reduce Genshin videos as long as I enjoy playing them. So you'll only get more Honkai Star Rail videos, and not like Honkai Star Rail videos starting to replace Genshin videos. That's a promise I can make. So look forward to that. Take advice says, you make people feel welcome on your stream. That's rare, Walrus. I like to keep it that way, but if we ever get like to 500, 600, 700 people on stream, I'm gonna have to start putting like filters saying, because there have been some live streams where I just can't read the comments, and it frustrates the crap out of me because I haven't even finished reading the sentence, it's already gone and I can't even find it. Yeah. Hadrian says, yeah, please don't let Genshin suffer. Yeah, for Genshin, I'm definitely going to keep up my video uploads. It's just I'm going to add some Honkai Star Rail into it because I'm going to most likely play the game. All right? So thank you guys so much for watching. Saturday is going to be some account reviews, so stay tuned for that. Friday, we're going to be watching the 3.6 live stream, so tune in. I'm going to be watching it live right here on YouTube. Okay? Till next time, urge you to stay safe. Peace, and bye.